Do we need these?
So here they are. We are very
Dennis, you have your
fortunate.
shades on. Oh.
Forgot.
Much better.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So we are very fortunate today because we have the team from The Substance, and they don't need a better, version of themselves. They're great. So here we have Demi Moore. Here we have Dennis Quaid, and here we have wonderful director Coralie Fargeat. So guys, I'll start with a quick question. How does it feel to come in Cannes with an horror movie?
Well, that's pretty amazing to be here. To be honest, that was really the place that I was dreaming for the film. So, when you work for 5 years on a journey, like to end up being in the temple of cinema, because I really made this movie for theater, that was just the best gift ever. And having the screening yesterday was so emotional, really.
Demi?
Well, truly, I mean, if you could wave a magic wand, this is the best that we could have ever hoped for. I mean, it culminated. We have a French director, an English production of an American film, and so it also feels like this beautiful triangle of also coming together. And I mean, I don't know if it'll ever get better than what we experienced last night.
Dennis?
Yeah, it doesn't come better than that. And I was so glad to be here to see the beginning of an incredible third act for Demi. Amazing. What a body of work that she already has, and man, inspirational.
Thank you, Dennis.
But also got to witness the birth of a true auteur right here. That really, Coralie's one of the greats. She truly is. And I told her last night, I think sometimes you're a cross between Stanley Kubrick and Sam Peckinpah. But she has her own style, and so many more films yet to come.
Thank you.
It was quite a joyous experience, and the audience and the reception was so encouraging and so heartfelt, and really appreciate it.
Okay, so I'm going to give the first question to Robert here.
Yeah. Good morning. Thank you very much for your wonderful film. I've got two questions, one from Mrs. Fargeat and one from Mrs. Moore.
One, who said one?
Mrs. Fargeat. I loved your film. It felt like a bloody contemporary version of Dorian Gray. Could you please reflect on the inspiration that Oscar Wilde was or was not for this film? And Mrs. Moore, you've been in Cannes for the last time in 1997 with Mr. Willis, almost 30 years ago. Would you like to share some thoughts and feelings on coming back almost 30 years later here at this point in life, at this point in your career? Thank you very much, both.
Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, the Dorian Gray portrait is one of the interpretation of a story that comes from ages and is universal and kind of a tale of human condition and what we experience as human being, and here in this film especially as women. So I love the idea to reinterpret it in my own world and with what I'm going through in my life. But I think those themes will always be relevant in a way.
And I forgot your question. Oh, this is my first time to ever have a film. And when I came in '97, it was a very awe-inspiring experience. But I was really there as the support, as the guest. So it's a very different experience. And I really am truly humbled at the welcome and at the opportunity to have this incredible film. And the reception last night, the love of cinema is also so encouraging to experience.
Oh, bonjour. Hello. Really, thank you for this movie. I'm Jing Yi, a journalist from China, Media Naiguan Film. And my question is for the directors. I will ask in English and then in French if I can. So, how do you see in this movie the power of the beauty of the female body? There are quite a lot representation impacts sexual of a female body. According to you, is that another exploitation of female image or accusation of violence applied to women as object by society? Thank you.
I'm not quite sure what your question is.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Actually, for the directors, I'm sorry, just the sexual representation of female body in the movie, is that, you think, is that another exploitation or accusation of violence applied to females as object by society?
Well, I hope the movie is not an exploitation of the body. Well, indeed, that my point was really to stress that our body, I think, as women, really define a lot how we are viewed in society, and the kind of violence we can address to ourselves kind of reflects the violence that I think surrounds us in each stage of society. So that was the metaphorical way to kind of show this in a kind of extreme way, because I think this violence is very extreme and still is.
Hi, good morning. Maria Guerra, Quinótico, Spain. Well, thank you all for this superb, radical, and necessary movie. My question to Demi Moore, when did you first felt cancelled by your age? And more than that is because maybe in our generation it was taken for granted that an actress should be erased. So do you share your recollections? Thank you.
I don't. Thank you for your. Whoops. You okay? Okay. Well, first, I don't know if I share that perspective of feeling canceled. And you know, my particular perception is, is that regardless of what is going on outside of you, the real issue is how you are relating to the issue. And so I guess my perspective is that I don't hold myself or even the situation as a victim. I think that, you know, what I loved in what Coralie wrote when I first read the script is that this was about the male perspective of the idealized woman that we have bought into as men. And what's so interesting in the film is here, you know, this newer, younger, better version gets an opportunity, and she still repeats the same pattern. She's still seeking this external validation. And in the end, comes face to face with just fighting herself, because that's where we have to really look, within, not without.
Dennis, what do you think about these things? Because you're a man, but also an actor. So what do you think about that?
Being the only guy, I was the representation, I guess, of everything you just said. And, you know, it has been in the past, especially for women, not so much anymore, but you know, 40 was the put out to pasture thing, like it was a finish line that went over, and men just, you know, keep right on going you know, with, but it's, you know, I'm glad to see subjects like this that people are sometimes afraid to talk about, you know, and because, you know, all these barriers are getting broken, it seems, in you know, the difference between when I, growing up as a kid and what has always been celebrated, you know, beauty and you know, woman being sexiness, having sexiness and all that. There's so much more to offer. And it's, you know, part of this is a reflection of women in film, telling their stories and getting that out there, like Coralie. And boy, you do it in a very emphatic way. And I just love being a part of this. I really did. I realized that I was kind of playing the embodiment of that male version, which is just cold-hearted. That's the way the world is. The world seems cold-hearted.
But I don't want to say that we're anti-men, we're just anti-jerks.
That's the wonderful thing. Exactly. And that's the thing about, Coralie. Say, well, yeah, she hates men, it's obvious in the movies. No, she hates assholes. And so do I, by the way. But their assholes are so fun to play, I will say that.
And he does a stellar job.
But I was the embodiment of that, and was glad to do it. And I was thinking of quite a few people for that role. But I would also, I kind of, in my heart, I dedicated this role to Ray Liotta, who was set to play it. And it was this week, 2 years ago, that he passed with us. And so I'd like to remember him. He's such an incredible actor. And but anyway, I dedicate it to him.
Hi, Raúl Godínez from Sensacine Latam. It feels like you've already left a mark on this edition of the festival with such an amazing film, with great reference from The Shining to The Fly. So my question is for the three of you. What's the horror films that have left a mark on you in order to, bring this now, the substance to life? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, for me, there are so many. The one that you mentioned, like definitely The Fly, The Shining, but also The Thing, like every kind of genre film, also Paul Verhoeven, like that went, the full way, because that's really what I loved to watch when I was growing up. It was really my way to get a sensation of freedom and to experience things. And also, I guess, because I've always kind of seen in genre films like a way to be excessive and to kind of release some kind of craziness and energy that you don't get to have in your everyday life. And for sure, the kind of body-related thing that I think for everyone has kind of a very strong resonance. So. Yeah, I really grew up with those movies that I loved, and I think they fed me, and I kind of digested them my own way, and love to create my own world with with also you. And thank you for saying that. I hope we will leave a mark. That'd be an honor. And we really put our heart in the movie. And I think that's also what makes genre so special. Like, you can't be shy. Like, you have to go all the way in. And it's risky sometimes because you kind of flirt with the grotesque. And but you have to. Otherwise, you never get to reach the line. And they all go for it. So that was such a gift.
Hi. Oh, just double check.
Nope.
Hello. Hi, it's Matt Donnelly from Variety. Congratulations to you all. I want to talk about the activation scene, which I may never recover from. And Coralie, speaking of not being shy, there's some really stark but perhaps really necessary full nudity in this film. And I just wonder, for Demi, did you have any concerns about shooting those scenes because of how images travel on the internet now and how incredibly famous you are? And how did you guys work together as actor and director to feel comfortable?
Thank you. You know, going into it, you know, it was really spelled out, the level of vulnerability and rawness that was really required to tell this story. And it was a very vulnerable experience and just required, I think, kind of going into it with a sensitivity and a lot of conversation about, you know, what we were trying to accomplish, how we were going to approach it, and I think finding, you know, that common ground of mutual trust. And I have to say, you know, I'm sorry that Margaret isn't able to be with us today. She's traveling to go and shoot. But, you know, I had someone who was a great partner who I felt very, you know, safe with. And we obviously were quite close in certain moments, naked. And it allowed us also a lot of levity in those moments at how absurd those certain situations were with us laying on the tile floor. But ultimately, it's just about, I think, really direct and clear communication and mutual trust.
Hello, my name is Natalia Vavilonska. I represent the Belarusian media Reform News. Thank you for this unique cinematic experience. My question is for Demi Moore. When you first read the script, what did you think? Did it become a challenge for you?
I think I saw it as a challenge in the best way, because I look at material that pushes for things that push me out of my comfort zone. And if something scares me a little bit, I usually know that there's an opportunity in that on the other side will make me a better person and hopefully a better actor. And I think that this really touched on so many themes that we all face. We all seek a certain sense of validation, belonging, and you know, and by Coralie doing it in a way that took us to the extreme, I think it really allows for you to kind of step into it in a totally unique way.
Hi, Jada Yuan from the Washington Post. It was awesome, thank you. And Demi, I wanted to know just like how you felt when you saw yourself, both on set and watching the movie, in the haggard old makeup and in the monster makeup. Like, what was that experience like for you?
So what was it like watching myself in the old, you know, it's in a way it's like not watching myself. It's almost like I'm watching myself in a slightly removed way. It's strange. You know, there were days you know, after 6 to 8 hours of makeup, and you know, I could see my eyes and know it was me, but the best part is my little dog, which many people have seen, always recognized me. That's all that counted. My touchstone of reality. But you know, look, you read it on the page, I will say it seems so much easier than when you really get in there to do it. But that's also part of the fun of wanting to do this, is to be able to go to that place.
Hi, my name is Veronica. I'm from RTV Slovenia. First, thank you for this film, and I'm so glad to see you, Demi, here. We always kind of felt that you should be more at festivals, so I'm happy that you're finally here with this amazing feeling. Congratulations to all of you. I have a question about the preparation, because I remember when you did Striptease in the 90s, there was like a lot of articles how many exercises you had to do to get in shape for that film, and you are still in amazing shape. So I'm guessing for this film, you didn't have to prepare that much for the beginning.
Well, I think that there wasn't a hyper focus for me. Luckily, Margaret had to hold the place of perfection, and there was something kind of freeing about this exploration. And you know, again, as I was saying, it was a very raw experience that really required a depth of vulnerability and willingness to expose myself emotionally and physically that definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone. And What I will say that is really been fascinating is that through the process of the film, I feel like I came out on the other side in greater acceptance of myself as I am. So that was a gift of that, because there was a lot of focus on our body while we were shooting it, a lot.
I came out the same way, like with better acceptance of
Right?
myself.
I
too.
did.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Sofia Derosson from Sweden. Thank you very much for this film. I'm wondering, Coralie, you said in an interview that this is just the beginning for the revolution, the feminist revolution in cinema, and with speaking about the Me Too that's happening again right now. So my question is for the three of you, how this film has influenced you, revolutionary speaking, for the future, your future work in cinema. Thank you.
I thought it was, this felt like making a movie in the classical sense. It's a little bit rare than it used to be, you know, just the experience with Coralie and making a film with somebody who has a real vision to it. And, you know, all movies are of their times, but I think this movie will, 20 years from now, will still speak to people, because it is about the way we feel about ourselves inside, women in particular. And it's good to feel a part of something special. And they made it a joy every day on the set. Plus the suits. They were good.
You looked good in those suits.
Yeah, where are those suits?
Ah. Some Dolce & Gabbana. Next question.
Bonjour. Adrien Morgano, Radio France Bleu.
Radio France.
Félicitations pour ce film.
Congratulations on this film, which talks about the passing of time and women on TV and power. I have a question for Demi Moore. You're here in Cannes today. It's a bit like coming back to the shoot. This took place a few kilometers from here. You shot things here in the Côte d'Azur. Would you like to talk to this about this to us?
So the question was about shooting here in Cannes. Well, first of all, we were shooting here in August, and I was wearing a wool full-length coat. So it had its own challenges. But it was lovely to be here in the off-season. What else can I say? I loved that Coralie's vision was to create a surreal alternative to what was really to be Hollywood. And in a way, kind of thinking about it now, that kind of combination of Hollywood being here in cinema, there's kind of a beautiful parallel. Does that answer your question?
Qui a le micro?
Bonjour, Mehdi Omaïs pour We Love Cinema.
We Love Cinema.
Thank you very much. Demi, you are beyond amazing in the movie.
Thank you.
Coralie, one question for you about the editing and the sound design of the movie, because I saw that you have done the editing of the movie, and it's quite, I don't know how you did it. I want to know more about that process and how long did it take?
Yeah, it was quite a long process. Well, basically, when I write, I really imagine the images and the paces and the pacing and the sound. So editing for me is really natural with directing. I don't work alone. Like, I worked with two editors, Jérôme Eltabé and Valentin Ferron. And it was a very long process because as the movie has very little dialogue, everything is about the pacing, and as long as everything is not right, the movie really feels like monstrous, like it's it's unbalanced, or it doesn't have the everything's together. Also, finding the composer and having a score that was uniting this universe made a huge difference for getting us into the universe. And I worked with a British composer, very talented, who is called Rafferty. And it was like really getting this super important piece into the movie. Together with the sound design that I knew from the start had a very important place in the film. And of course, when you first start to show the movie, just for little screenings to producer, you say, wait, there is not the sound, and say, oh yeah, but we can imagine. And I know that until you really hear it in a theatrical experience, you can't really imagine how much it gives the pacing of the movie as well. So I was also lucky to be very, very well surrounded for sound design by Valérie Delouf and Victor Florent, and our great recording mixers, Stéphane Thiebaud and Victor Pro. I had an amazing sound team, and really I must say that the French crew on this movie was amazing, because we really did it our own way and related to the shooting on French location. It was like crazy, because we did it not in a huge, like, Hollywood way, but we were, like our kind of small middle crew in the middle of the HLM in Nice, where is the deposit for the substance. And Demi was there, like, discussing with the people that were so happy to see her with trash cars. And we shot in the toilets of the Préfecture de Nanterre. And I said, oh my
All
God.
the glamorous spots.
Very glamorous.
And that's what I love about cinema, that you shoot in crazy thing that then you make it something else. And that's the fun of it as well. And that's what I really like, to have my hands in the cambouis, as you say. And doing those important things that to me are really part of directing, which is editing and thinking about sound and also photography, with the DOP Benjamin Krakoun, who is here with us.
Stand up, come on. Come on. Yeah.
That was really a journey, and everyone was in it. It was a very long shooting because of all the prosthetic works by Pierre-Olivier Persin, who did an amazing job as well. Like, it took so long to prep Demi for some of the makeup, as we call Gollum for the very old. It was like 7 hours of makeup, so we only had 2 hours to shoot with her on the day. So it was a very hard jigsaw in a very artisanal way of doing it, and with a crew that was truly committed, because they loved the film and they loved cinema, and they were really, I think they were really proud of creating something that they didn't get to do every day. So I think the making of the movie, the way we did it, really reflects the part of spirit that is in the movie. We really did it our own way, and sometimes it was tough, but I think in the end, like, people felt like we were creating something special in a way. So that's why also I'm so happy to be here, because for the French crew and all the crew, it's such a reward of, having our work presented in the temple of cinema. So that's it.
Hi, I'm Leila from The Independent. Congratulations on that film. It's a very interesting way. I'm not a gore expert or film de genre expert at all, but I adored your film, and I think I'm not the only one. The room was ecstatic all along yesterday. It's a film about self-hate and self-acceptation, and the more I thought about it afterwards, and the more I thought, okay, that was the only way to show it, because it's an extreme violence to not like ourselves. And how else could we show it? It has to come to this physical thing and this gory aspect to actually show how violent this is to not like oneself. So was it the only way you could have depicted it? What is the reason you chose to do it this way? And I'm obsessed with how you managed to write such a thing.
Well, thank you for your question, because I think, like, yeah, what you say is so relevant to me, like the violence, like really this movie came together when I really reflected myself on the violence of how I felt as a woman over my 40s, and the kind of feeling of, okay, now I'm going to disappear. I'm not going to have a place in society anymore. I'm not going to be watched. I'm not going to care for anybody. It's done. Like, and when you reflect on this, you say, okay, what leads me to think like that? You know, I'm an educated person. I'm a feminist. And still, all those ideas have found a way to penetrate my brain in such a strong way. And I think at all age, in fact, we are kind of led to feel that we're not right. When you're younger, you feel like, okay, maybe you're too fat, or maybe your ass is not the right way, or your boobs are not big enough, and you know, then when you get older, it's like, oh, then you have wrinkles, and and there is always something that is commented about your body. Like, your body, I think, as a woman, is everything but neutral in the public space. And we're talking about self-hate, but I really wanted to address, okay, what makes me hate myself so much at certain points? And you speak about what comes from inside us, but I think it's also really, this is nurtured also from outside, from the world that surrounds us. And yeah, and the violence, I think, that still surrounds how women are watched or are considered, the place that they have in society, depending on the way they look or they don't look anymore. The hyper-sexualization that kind of make you feel that, okay, you have a place, but when this is gone, then you feel you don't have a place anymore. And I think like all this leads us to have an extreme violence also towards ourselves. It's external violence, but it's also violence that we do on ourselves. I don't know any woman who doesn't have a, you know, eating food disorder or some kind of, you know, kind of violence thing that she does to her body. And when you think about that, it's just crazy. And you were speaking about the Me Too movement that is going again. I think it has never stopped. You know, it's not going again, it's still going, but sometimes it's heard less or more, and sometimes it's heard and then people don't want to hear it anymore. And hopefully then it comes back again. But yeah, to me, that's really, really the very beginning. We're really the first little step. And I truly hope that everything that is said in a way or another, either because it's women speaking or artists making films, actors interpreting, we're putting stones in hopefully making things evolve in a different way. It's, you know, it's 3,000 years of society being organized in a way. It's going to be hard to change. And I'm really happy if the movie is one little stone in the wall for that.
Je suis navrée, on va être obligé d'arrêter. Je suis désolée. I'm sorry, that was the last question.
Thank you so much. Merci.
Thank you so much. It's great. It was a real pleasure. You're wonderful. Great film. Great film.
Okay,
Merveilleux. Bon, on se verra plus longtemps. Pour la sortie, mais vraiment super.
Ouais, merci beaucoup. Hein.
Et alors, les gens se sont évanouis hier à la promo.
Il paraît qu'il y a eu 5 personnes avec.
Les gens sont chouchous.
C'est ça, franchement, j'étais là.
Bon, ben ça va. Bravo. Merci.